Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us again on the Spy Shack podcast, where we'll be discussing Survivor Kaoh Rong, episode 9. It's psychological warfare. With me always is Mark. Mark, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm great.
And Aaron, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
All right, guys. Let's just get right down to it. First of all, quick thoughts on the episode in its totality.
It was definitely a lot of back and forth, and I'm sad, but I'm excited to see an episode like this.
It was another enjoyable episode for me. Probably not as good as last week, but still a good episode. Again, much like Mark, sad by the end result, but it's still good. This is a good cast, and the benefit of the sad result is that Ponderosa is a lot more fun.
I was just listening to last week's episode, and I'm like, oh wow! While I was watching this episode, I was like, I predicted the way it was gonna go down at the end. The women were not gonna stay together, and unfortunately, Debbie was gonna go. And I didn't have any reason to pick Debbie. I kind of just threw it out there, and yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about the beginning of the episode. After Tribal Council, it's still night and going into the morning. And what did y'all think of the sabotage that Scott and Jason did?
I thought it was poor sportsmanship of them, but then as it went along before the reward challenge, I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Because think of it this way, all right? And I posted this on POS earlier today, and this was going through my mind while I was watching the episode. All right, so the mindset you got to have here is, okay, we get back from Tribal Council. Scott and Jason, they're both pissed, obviously, because the women turned against them. Okay, what are we going to do? We're going to hide the machete and the axe and, pull off the Sandra Pearl Islands and Russell, I guess, both games. So they're going to pull off one of those and just sabotage the camp. Everybody wakes up in the morning. Okay, where's the axe? Where's the machete? And then Sydney, she finds a saw. They're going to be okay. Yay. So facepalm for Scott and Jason. So what do they come up with next? Well, Scott decides to pour out water on the fire, the campfire. But then they're foiled again by Joe, who decides, hey, we can get a fire started over here. Yay! Double facepalm for Scott and Jason. The back and forth, and just seeing how miserable their sabotaging was, because the others found a way through it each of those two times. I don't know, I found it funny. I think I actually laughed out loud once they made the fire.
And it looks like they got it started pretty quick too.
Gosh, I went almost full aggro on the boys on Twitter. No, this is just all sorts of no. No, 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 no. I mean, they made it so clear cut. It's them against everybody else, and now even though there's a crack in the girls, I don't think they're willing to work with the guys because they're just buttholes now. I don't see how this is gonna work out for Scott and Jason.
Like Aaron said, their sabotage didn't really work as well as they thought it was going to work, because they did find a way to work around the tools not being there. And I think they even said they liked making the coconuts the better by cooking them and burning them and then slitting them open. And of course they have the flint, so they can continue making fire. They just need to continue to move it around instead of just keeping it in one place. And as Aaron has said before, this is bizarre Kagiyan, and we got our Jitia moment, and it was Scott.
I don't like how they just completely isolated themselves from the rest of the group, and they now they have nobody but themselves, and I don't think anybody else is willing to work with them for the rest of the game because they all know they did it. They all knew it was Scott and Jason, and okay, Ty joined in as well, but they don't blame him as much because they knew he was in with them, and he was just trying to be one of the cool guys, I guess.
So what do y'all think about Ty, who is pretty much on social media is considered the most popular character or person out there on the island, getting along with, I don't know, getting along, but at least working with the two people who are considered the villains of the season.
I think it was good while he was in the tribe with them, but now that they are merged, I don't think he needs them anymore. And especially now, after this last tribal council, he can completely dump them and with no consequences.
Yeah, and we kind of see that he's starting to think about what's going on in the previews for the next episode.
To be honest, I was very surprised by what he did last night with taking out the other fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he already said, I mean, it's good character scenes for him in that he feels that, I mean, Ty's got a big heart. And it's already shown with his quick bond with Caleb and many other things. The guy has a big heart. And, I mean, he was saying in the beginning when they were starting their hashtag sabotage, that was the last night's hashtag. The only thing I do with if anything, we just tease them in the, we just poke and make fun of them in the discussion thread. So with Ty, I mean, he was already saying, I know why they're doing this, but at the same time, I'm thinking this isn't right. But I'll let them let them do whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, Ty earlier in the season, he felt that the Women Alliance was gonna come after him. So I feel like he's joined with them, but not because he feels the way they feel or anything like that. He's kind of just joining with them out of necessity, and in his mind, and he might not like what they're doing, but I feel like he joined in on the sabotage so that they can know that he's with them at least at this moment. I like his little fake out when in the morning when he comes out. Is there any embers?
Yes, that should have been last night's hashtag embers. I mean, I was expecting him to feel bad about it, kind of like the first thing that comes to mind, Lisa Whelchel trying to get rid of Malcolm, and then coming back to tribal council, crying out the whole entire thing, and Malcolm being very forgiving about it.
So let's talk about the reward challenge and Julia's move to right away. Well, first of all, let's talk about that. Jeff allowed them to choose their own teams rather than doing a schoolyard pick, with Joe deciding he's going to sit out. Ty, Scott, and Jason were on one team for sure, and Julia offers herself up to join them. She says it's strategy because she knows that she's going to need them for her game. How do you guys rate her move at that particular point?
At that particular moment, when Jeff is telling you, hey, you got to get into two teams. You think you can manage this yourselves? And Joe did the honorable thing and said, okay, well, I'll sit out. Make this, Although the ladies could have also, I mean, we don't know how long they were. I mean, they could have been there, for, I'm going to guess it took them a couple of minutes, or the way they showed it on TV. But
I think Joe would have gotten more in the way than anybody else out there.
I mean, with Joe, he did. he did what he wanted to do, but Julia stepping up. I mean, when the women were sort of in an alliance already, and when this is a game, I mean, the game is about social relationships and the people that what people think, a group of strangers think of you, but in order to make it any further, you need numbers. And Julia has the numbers. I mean, there were 5 women. She was taking a risk doing that, but then again, I think in the back of her mind, she was thinking, well, Scott and Jason are pretty strong. But it was it was a little bit of both. It was a stupid move and a very selfish move, but then again, for herself, she got to eat, as Debbie said in a tribal council, I thought you just wanted Chinese food. Or something like that.
And
Mark,
Mark,
you needed the food. I mean, look at you. I mean, look at
Yeah.
what did you think, Mark, of Julia's move?
I think she could have waited a little longer and talked it out with the girls before jumping over, just so they don't get super suspicious. Like, Sydney's already suspicious of everything, and to make a sudden move like this, and it just made Sydney's radar go off, and it put Julia in so much danger. And I just thought she could have at least went into a discussion with the girls and talked it out and be like, hey girls, I know none of you want to work with these guys. I'm gonna take the bullet. I'm gonna head on over. Blah 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 blah. Talk it out a little bit before heading over, so none of the other girls would be suspicious of you. That's all I thought. But other than that, it was a good move.
Yeah, I think I know why she did it, because she definitely is gonna need some numbers when she wants to break away from the alliance that she's in, because I don't think she believes that she'll make it far with the alliance she was in at that moment. She says that she believes she was in the bottom. However, I feel that she should have, if she was gonna go with Scott, Jason, and Ty, she should have done that at another time, not so publicly in front of everybody, and not so willing to go with them and be with them on their team. What Mark said, if she would have gone back to the girls' team and said, how about we talk a little bit, or how about we do this, and then finally she kind of like reluctantly say, okay, I'll go with them. I'll like you said, take the bullet. I'll go with them. I'll work with them, and then talk to them afterwards while they're at the reward. But she didn't do that. She kind of just jumped right away and said, like, yeah, I'll do it. And her team, everyone except I think Deb, and I don't know if Joe is suspicious of her or not, but I'm not really sure what Joe thinks in most of part of the game.
I was going to say something about Joe. I think in the last tribal council, Joe did vote for Nick, so it was the ladies plus Joe.
Yeah.
So his allegiance is with the ladies, at least for that time span until the next tribal council, where he just voted with Debbie. So at that point, I think the alliance was him and the women.
Anything you guys want to bring up between the reward challenge and the immunity challenge?
Well, we were told that along with the reward, the thing I want to mention about 2 things. One, Debbie was amazing in the reward challenge.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, the guys plus Julia got their Chinese food reward, and it was them plus Mark the chicken.
Oh yeah. I hadn't noticed that they had named the chicken.
That's what I got from it. I think it was Scott who gave the
name.
confession.
Yeah.
So it was me, Jason, Ty, Julia, and Mark the chicken. We just had Chinese food, something like that.
And what I liked earlier is when they're at the campfire at night, the chicken's just on Ty's shoulder.
Oh yeah, he's done that before, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a man and his chicken.
You said you had another thing you want to talk about?
Now there's another. No, those were the two things, but now another thing has come to mind. There was a secret scene. They cut the scene that they showed there. There was more to the scene. The ladies were thinking about killing the chicken. They were thinking about killing a Mark before just because I guess they were pissed about them having the others having the Chinese food reward, and it was like, I guess it was the same exact scene that was shown last night, but they cut like a minute or 30 seconds of it. I don't know why they couldn't show the entire thing, because we could have seen a more sensitive a side that we've already seen of Ty, trying to convince him to not kill the chicken. And Debbie gave this confessional about, I want to eat its heart and lungs. I want to eat its testicles. And I'm just thinking, Debbie, I'm not sure if chicken have testicles.
Well, they named the chicken Mark, although if it's Mark, it should have been a rooster, right?
Again, with the brain, brawn, and beauty. The last one, the beauty tribe had a hard time deciding which who was the one who laid the eggs, and I posted it up there on POS about the thing that immediately came to my mind during Kagayan and during last night was Frank Costanza's whole thing in that one episode of Seinfeld where he's going, now tell me this, got the rooster, the hen, and the chicken. Now the rooster has sex with the hen. Now who's having sex with the chicken? Something's missing. Something's missing, all right. The rooster has sex with all of them. Just that whole scene just reminds me of what the beauty tribe went through in Kagayan, and maybe a little bit of last night too.
So let's move over to the immunity challenge, and it's an immunity challenge that we've seen before. I think we've even seen it in Redemption Island, where the dominoes. However, I feel this is the first time they add an obstacle to it, right? While you're trying to set up the dominoes.
If I can remember correctly, this was used in one of the proper duels, not the four-way duels, which is not grammatically correct. I mean, it's four people doing a challenge. But I think it was the one that made Russell cry.
Yes, it was.
The thing that they added, which I noticed, and I thought, the thing that they did add, and immediately when I saw it, I thought, okay, a woman's going to win this, was the little thing at the bottom where if they tripped on, I guess it was some sort of metal or some sort of
I feel like it was like a lattice or something.
It's some sort of footholes or whatever. Like if they did any sudden movement there, the dominoes would collapse.
And Scott was in the biggest advantage there. I mean, his big old foot was going to hit something, and it did a couple times.
And I just thought, oh, thank God. It's either going to be one of the women or Ty who are going to win this.
So, yeah, I mean, who was it? Michelle, Julia, and even, Ty was in there for a little bit, right? And then Scott was in there at the end.
Debbie she tried twice, I think.
And I was, when I was watching it, as soon as Julia pushed it that last time, I knew she was going to get it because the camera kind of just panned and went to a side view. I'm like, oh, that's it. They're good. They're showing the side view.
Yeah.
Wonderful cinematography, yeah.
Yeah. It was a nice transition, too. It was just like, it didn't look like a cut. It kind of looked like the camera did a transition, like in a video game or something.
I think it was also convenient that she was in a position where they can just pan without anybody getting in the way.
Yeah. And for a moment there, I thought Michelle was going to take it all the way.
Yeah, I've heard. I think her and Julia were pretty close. So Julia seemed to be taking her time, whereas Michelle kept trying different things, as did Debbie. I think they were all the closest at some point. I think even Jason tried at one point.
Well, even the beam itself seemed to move a lot more than it normally does, because
Yeah.
when they were hitting that first domino, it looked like some of these ones out of order were kind of falling out of place or falling to the side. So the way that they changed this challenge made it more interesting, I believe, and it's a good way for it to evolve from just being the same challenge as they've previously done. So I like the new lattice foot things on the bottom of that challenge.
The thing is, it also added a bit of an element of luck
Yeah.
to the challenge. Unfortunately, the tripwires are just a little too sensitive. As you saw, like
They also had like a grab bar to the
the
side.
entire. It was shaking the entire thing.
Yeah.
It was shaking the entire beam, and some of the other ones that some of the other random ones just started falling off as well, and so while you may be the first one to to complete the sequence, but you had to wait until your entire thing is sitting still until you can like push your first domino. Otherwise, chaos.
Yeah, and they also had that grab bar, so that I guess if you felt unstable, you can grab onto it. But that thing was just as if you grabbed onto that, it looked like it moved the whole thing just as much as hitting the on your foot on them. So I think it was a. I liked it. I liked it. It just added a little bit more difficulty to it, and we see Julia wins the immunity, and of course Sydney was wanting to target her. No, Aubrey was trying to target her. Yeah, Aubrey. And Deb wanted to go after Scott. And Deb, I think, gave too much credit to the guys here, and saying that they were being doing the sabotage to get the votes on them, and so that they can use their idol. I don't think they thought it through that way, and
Oh,
she trusts Julia, and I right then and there when they started showing that, I'm like, okay, this is the Debbie boot episode, and I'll be trying to talk to her. She was being stubborn. She did not want to vote against Julia, and then Sydney kind of throws it out there. Well, she's being very emotional. Let's go ahead and vote Debbie out. And I'm surprised all the girls kind of jumped right on right away. Joe didn't, of course, but all the rest of the girls were like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about last week. The Girls Alliance never holds through. So they have been at least twice, and I didn't think it was going to happen this time around either.
Well, if they had stuck around with just the five of them, they would have been tied with the women in one world for most amount of women.
Yeah.
Without any guys. Wish there was a shorter term for that. When there were only women, the most amount of women without any guys in the game was one world, and they would have been tied.
Well, Vanuatu had a chance to go what 6 or 7 if they just got rid of Chris right away, and
Chris just laid in the hammock, y'all, and just
But-
let these women, in that hoarse voice of his, just let these women play the games themselves.
by the way, Vanuatu is one of my favorite seasons, and I feel it's so underrated.
Yes, especially coming after an all-star season.
Yeah.
yeah.
And when rewatching now we're getting a little bit off topic here, but for one thing when I first rewatched All Stars, I just thought, I remember hating this season mainly because I was spoiled and accidentally found out that supposedly Amber was going to win the season. I just thought, no, she's not. And week by week, she's still there, thinking, crap. And the whole season just ended badly. The only thing that did surprise me was when Boston Rob proposed to Amber, which was a nice little surprise that the spoilers couldn't even predict. But I thought maybe the second time around, maybe I'll like it even more. Maybe I'll like it a little bit more, since people speak so positively of it. And I hated it even more. Because it was so bitter towards the end, and everybody, the audience, they even booed Jerry.
Jerry actually had to leave, right? Jerry left the stage.
Yeah, she left right after. Like, when that happened, I would record them and watch them the next day. And when I watched Jerry's, when I watched Jerry getting booed, I really didn't. It just flew over my head why they were booing her, except that, well, they assumed that she was the bitch of season 2, so I guess that's why they're booing her. But on the rewatch, when she was saying, this is a game, and, it's just a game, and these are our lives, that you're finding for your entertainment. And everything that she said, I just thought, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I agree with her. Why the hell are you all booing her? Shame on you. And she
The thing is,
and then she cut the Colby. He cut the Colby, and then everybody just, lit up. It's just, go to your man. Yeah, go to the guy. Next probes.
So
I don't blame Jerry for doing that.
the thing is, Jerry looks like an angel compared to Brenda's song going like.
Oh yeah.
In that final tribal council, going against Don Meehan, and that was just hard to watch. Jerry looks like an angel compared to Brenda's song. Seriously.
Uh-huh.
So let's go ahead and reel it back in.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and talk about the tribal council, and as far as tribal councils in the last couple of seasons, where do you guys put this tribal council? Was it a top tier, medium tier, bottom tier? Mark?
At least middle tier.
Aaron?
It's at least memorable. We've talked about many times how we want the idols to go away. And I don't. The one thing that bugs me about Modern Survivor, or one of the things that bugs me about Modern Survivor, is that in order for there to go on a list of the best blind sides ever, the best tribal councils ever, there has to be an idol played. Has to. That it almost seems that you don't make a list like that unless you show an idol or anything or something like that. Where I think the best blind side that ever happened was John Carroll and Marquesas.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
And there were how many idols used? None, except the one that was hanging around. Who was it? Tammy's neck? Like Tammy?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I never understood that when I was Marquesas was my first season. I was 10 years old when I watched it, and I just watched the show just seeing. Okay, so they keep voting off each other out until one of them's left. Ooh, I wonder who that last person will be. And I just thought, okay, I guess they went. And on a rewatch, when I saw John go, I thought, oh my goodness.
He was the first.
Was epic.
Yeah, he was the first person that I can say, oh my God, I can't believe it. Because the thing is that he was being real arrogant at the time when the Road to 4 was on top. And it was just to see the Road to 4 fall was just epic. I loved it. And Marquesas is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, we've sort of seen it to some degree with these last 2 episodes. With Nick, he was so unaware of how he was treating the other tribe members, especially the women. And Debbie was, I guess she was so insistent of just go all the way.
Yeah. So
There's
we've
a
been
lot of
I've noticed it more in this season, where there's a lot of talking going on during Tribal Council, and I don't know if that's because of the way it's edited, or if it's just because they don't really come to a consensus till they're out there. Especially in the last two episodes, or in the last couple of episodes, where they're like original plan or plan A or plan B or whatever they're saying, and it's even got to the point where we see, at least in our edited version, we see Jeff just kind of sitting there, just letting them talk to each other, kind of letting it happen. And I kind of like it. I don't mind that. At least for our entertainment, it feels like they're might change their mind, and might not be as concrete going into the vote. So we had the revelation. Scott and Jason and Ty all pretty much said that we have the idols. We have two idols, and they didn't go ahead and say that they had the ability to do the super idol. And the way they said they were gonna play it was pretty much they're gonna play it on two people, and the third one's gonna go in unshielded. Where we saw Nick and Neil talking about it, and like, no, no, they need to combine them. They need to combine them, and I feel they did it so that they can try to conceal the fact that the super idol is real. I don't think everybody else knows about the super idol. Do you guys did you guys see that, or do you guys feel that, Mark?
Uh, but that the last move they pulled, they've got to be thinking, right?
I feel like they put it together so that they can use the super idol, but they didn't go out and say this is what we're gonna do, because not everybody knows about the super idol. They might be thinking that they might have thrown that out there just as a decoy. What do you think, Aaron?
well, with the idea of, I mean, I think the first person to really show an idol and just scare people by, hey, I may play it, I may or I may not play it, without having the superpowers that the one in Panama, Cook Islands, and Cagayan had, was Russell. That he just decided to put it around his neck and just go, yep, I've got an idol. I may or I may not play it. So it felt like something like that, but they were also revealing that there was a super idol. And I mean, they've only used, this is their fourth season doing this.
Do you think that it's necessary for the person who's going to play the super idol to have both parts of the idol before the vote's read? Because I feel kind of weird that they both decided to decide, like, we're just going to give it to Ty, and Ty's going to have both pieces now, so that he can already have it together and use it.
I think it was kind of stupid on their part.
I feel like they kind of exposed the super idol more to be a reality in that by doing that.
And I think I was really surprised on Jason and Scott's part, in that, okay, they do the whole rock paper scissors, and they just decide, you know what, yeah, we're gonna tie. Just, I did not see that happening. Just, okay, play, and Ty just, what he did was actually quite funny. He just said, and I'm going to sit down.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I mean, please let this bite them in the ass. And by them, I mean Scott and...
Yeah, because now, once they give the idol to Ty, that's Ty's idol. Ty does no longer has to give it back. He no longer has to play it for them. He no longer has to do anything. He has two idols.
Yep.
He didn't steal it. They gave it to him. So let me ask you guys this: were you guys shocked by the vote, Aaron?
Not really, because it was sort of... leaning towards. I mean, they showed us that Debbie was going to go. I mean, I wrote down on paper who I think was going to go. I was sort of lost during the whole tribal council. And part of me is going, no, I refuse to write down Debbie's, even though I was kind of feeling that day. Yeah, it seemed that all they needed to do, I mean, Aubrey and Sydney were just bouncing ideas off of each other and just thinking, what if we got rid of Debbie? Okay, well, we could get Michelle, and then we would have to make sure that Julia's on board, and she said she would be in. So 4-2 to 2, I think it was. No, that doesn't sound right.
4 to 3 to 2.
4 to 3 to 2.
Yeah.
Who did you think Julia was gonna side with? Because Julia had the chance to take out Sydney, and she had the chance to take out Deb. Was there any?
Oh, one thing worth mentioning about Sydney. Someone spelled her name wrong.
I think that was on purpose.
And she goes, somebody spelled my name wrong.
I think that's on purpose. We're going back to even last season. I forgot who it was that they would purposely misspell the other contestants' names just to upset them. I think it's more of a sign of disrespect that you know how to spell it. You just decide not to spell it correctly. It kind of in a way that Jason decides to not give Alicia a name and just call her Blondie. It's kind of this. I feel kind of the same thing when you purposely misspell a name, just to piss people off.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think I may agree with you there. But the whole thing of that happening just adds more to Sydney's character of her being just wonderfully hilarious. I mean, before last week, her whole arc was, okay, she gets a few confessionals here and there. And then if not, then you'll at least see a shot of her for a good 5 seconds of her making some sort of face.
Yeah.
Disapproval. And it'll just crack you up. It'll bring joy to your heart or anything like that. But last night's episode, she was in what she calls irritated Sydney. I think she was that. I think she said something before the reward challenge. She yelled out something before the reward challenge. But the thing that comes to my mind is that while they were talking strategy after the reward challenge, she was flossing her teeth, which I just thought was awesome because it just comes out of nowhere. And people were asking, where did she get the floss from? I'm guessing it was her luxury item, or as Probst called them beginning this season, her emotional item.
Let's talk about the next episode already. Who do you see being the next person to get voted out? Aaron?
Well, they're based on the next time on Survivor bit. They're making it look like Ty is going to consider whether or not he's going to turn on Scott and Jason, and that all three might be working him.
So you're putting your money on either Scott or Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark?
I'm gonna agree, and if I have to pick, probably Jason before Scott.
Yeah, I have to agree with that as well. I feel like I'm gonna cheat here again because last week I chose two people based on two things that might happen, and I think Jason's gonna go because I do feel Ty might go ahead and switch over. However, if he decides to stay true to Jason and Scott, I think. I think even if I think they're gonna target Jason no matter what, And I think what they're gonna try to use Ty for is not to use that super idol. So I think they're gonna vote Jason. He's not gonna play the super idol, and Jason will go home.
Or do you think they're trying to blindside Ty because he has that super idol?
Well, it's possible that they're trying to do it, but like I said before, I don't know if they know it that that's a real thing. And now that he has both sides of that idol, he's golden for the rest of the season, I believe, until what, Final Four, Final Five.
Probably.
So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Before we go, any closing thoughts on this episode, Aaron?
Yeah, the one thing that's worth noting about Debbie's final words, well, two things. One, she's even more awesome for using the term wankers. And two, she remarked, how she was so sure that the women were going to stick together and vote out one of the other guys. But, so on their part, it might be a bad move. But something to the degree of, well, what is she to say? Because she just guesses that they're better players. And that right there is why Russell will never win.
Yeah.
So, because Debbie just got it right there. Why was she voted out? The other people were better than her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark?
Good for you, Debbie.
The only issue I had with Debbie was grouping Ty-in with the wankers. At the very end, before she went out, I thought, God, give Ty some credit. He was only forced into that position by Jason and Scott. So do not call Ty a wanker. Yeah. So there it is.
I enjoyed Deb a lot more than I thought I was gonna enjoy Deb, especially right from the beginning. I said it before. She annoyed me right off the bat, and slowly I started to like her more and more. And I'm not surprised that she went, especially after her antics after the merge and how she was just being real confrontational with everybody. But she was fun. She really was fun. She had some great TV moments. I can see her coming back if they decide to do more All-Star returning seasons. And I'm really enjoying this season. Like I said before, it's very underrated, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. With that, we'll go ahead and end it there. And Aaron, where can people reach you out if they want to talk to about Survivor?
You can talk to me on Facebook. You go on and send a friend request or go on POS, and on Twitter as well, even though I don't use it all that much. Facebook is my main thing. Again, I have a YouTube channel, which I would say on average at least a video or two a month, just talking about nothing related to Survivor, just music I've purchased. And I think the last thing I posted was recent purchases I made. Anybody's interested, Rocky Erickson, got one of his albums, and I may put up another video about. Recently got the first 3 Cheap Trick albums, and now I'm by Iggy Pop on vinyl, so I might do a video on that. And the other thing that's worth mentioning, I mentioned before that I might be seeing Iggy Pop. I said I might be last week. Well, now I am going to be going tomorrow, and sort of been a joke on a few of the message boards how Debbie has an uncanny resemblance to Mr. Pop. So it just makes sense that this is the week that Debbie goes.
Well, I hope you have some fun out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Marco, what are you up to?
Well, I'm gonna be on another concert tour this weekend, so my This Week in Reality is gonna come out a little later. But Saul and I also started an amazing race podcast on my channel, so you can find that on youtube.com/Marco Polo 310, and you can also find me on Twitter at Marco Polo 310.
And you guys, my name is Saul, like you guys should know already. You can find me here on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, at Perspective. You can also find all our videos at nerdfeed.com as well as on my channel. And let us know what you guys think of this season. Hashtag Spy Shack Pod. And we'll wait for you guys next week.